I'm Daniel Bar-Lev, Director of Certification Programs at the MEF, the Metro Ethernet Forum, and I'm here with John Hawkins.
I'm John Hawkins, Product Marketing Manager at Ciena Corporation and member of the Marketing Committee here at MEF.
So, John, a lot of people are asking questions about e-access. What is e-access?
E-access. In the context of CarriesNet 2.0, it is the newest service definition issued by the MEF that defines especially a wholesale service that can be offered from one operator to another in order to do things like extend the buying operator's footprint into an area where he doesn't necessarily have coverage. So it holds a lot of promise for being a horizon extender, if you will, for an operator that wants to sell an end-to-end service to an enterprise.
So if I understand correctly, e-access is a new service definition from the MEF that's designed to enable service providers to extend their footprint by buying e-access service from another service provider.
That's correct. That is correct.
So the two categories of stakeholder here are going to be the buyers and the sellers?
That's correct, and that's a big part of the value of e-access is defining that relationship between the buyer and the seller and setting those expectations correctly so that buyers can be confident in what they are buying in terms of the wholesale relationship that exists there now. So that's a big part of it is bolstering confidence in terms of buyers and sellers, and any market thrives on confidence between those buyers and sellers. So that's a big part of the value of e-access. Not only the technical aspects of what attributes and how the circuit will behave, but that element of fomenting the market across the operator space.
So how would you categorize buyers? I mean, what sort of companies would be buyers and what sort of companies would be sellers?
It will vary with regions and with particular buyers and sellers' needs or requirements. But the example I would see being quite common is a large operator with a global offering, who just, for whatever historical reasons, does not have regional coverage in a given country, a given metropolitan area, and therefore would like to engage with another operator, potentially a smaller operator that has a regional footprint or regional offering to buy one of these e-access services so that the buying operator can put together an end-to-end service for his enterprise client, his enterprise customer.
So let's take an example. Perhaps there's a company that has offices in New York City, and they have a branch or a partner in some part of Cape Town, for example. So the company, the service provider that's providing them with the Carrier Ethernet service, perhaps it's an E-line that they want between New York and Cape Town. They don't have that footprint all the way. Perhaps they have it between New York and downtown Cape Town, and then they need it to the business park in outside Cape Town. Is
exactly.
That sort of?
That's a great example. Another possibility would be that the operator, the buying operator, has the submarine link, but doesn't have access to either metropolitan area, doesn't have access to either the New York metropolitan area or the Cape Town metropolitan area. So those would be two e-access circuits that operator would be interested in purchasing in order to put together the end-to-end SLA that they want to write for that customer.
Okay. So do you see e-access as being a game changer?
Potentially, yes. For this reason that we were talking about, broadening the horizons of operators. It allows for a whole different level of creativity, I think, in supplying the needs of enterprises. And it gets us back to the original intent of the MEF, which was to promote the adoption of Ethernet services on a global basis. So it really does get the MEF back to its root raison d'etre in facilitating that adoption of Ethernet services.
So from what you describe, this could be very, very relevant for literally hundreds of service providers, if not more, around the world.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of small service providers who would never have the opportunity to supply the needs for a global enterprise, for instance. So it now allows them to have a part of that business, which is a game changer for them for sure.
So is this e-access, can it be run over any type of infrastructure?
Absolutely. Like all MEF specifications, the mechanism whereby the service is delivered is not part of the specification. Only the attributes and the behavior of the service are specified. So there are all sorts of creative ideas of how that might be delivered, both wireline, fiber, copper, wireless are all possibilities. And I suspect that the e-access sellers will come up with some very creative solutions in the years to come.
Okay, a lot of companies, service providers will be saying, hold on, I already sell access, Ethernet access. I sell, perhaps it's over fiber, or I sell it over T1 or whatever, bonded copper. What's different here?
And that's true. That certainly happens today. The difference here, the game changer here, is that now there is a specification for what those attributes and expectations can be on the part of the buyer and the seller. So not only can I buy my e-access service, using our example in New York, from provider seller A, but I can buy another e-access service from the seller in Cape Town and have full expectations that those will behave in the same manner. So I don't have to have two separate negotiations, one with the seller in New York and one with the seller in Cape Town. Those now become uniform, standardized. The analogy we always use is that when we ordered a TDM, standard TDM circuit, a T3 or a T1, DS3, depending on the requirements for bandwidth, those were well understood, well behaved. There didn't have to be a lot of one-on-one negotiations. There didn't have to be a lot of pages and pages of memorandums of understanding of how this circuit would behave. We want to bring the same model into the Ethernet realm, and that the ordering process, the fulfillment process, can be eased and facilitated with this standardization of it.
Okay, so dare I say it, T1 today is actually a very standard commodity type of local loop, and where we're going with e-access is actually a flexible, from the point of view of bandwidth and class of service and other capabilities that carry Ethernet offers, but essentially it's the next T1.
That's correct. So we've added all of the good things of Ethernet. Its flexibility, the ability to oversubscribe that link if I wish to, that the T1 doesn't offer us. The sheer bandwidth capacity that the T1, of course, runs out of at some point is what we want to add to that, but we want to keep the ease of understanding of behavior, of attributes.
Of the interaction
between
seller.
Exactly.
So there are buyers and sellers out there, and they say, okay, this is interesting, what's the next step?
Well, there are several things. I think the MEF website is probably your first stop. There are a variety of introductory materials there that explain the service, explain the value proposition, explain the attributes that are captured in the spec. Of course, the specs themselves are freely available on the MEF website. Ultimately, we have certification programs, both at the equipment level, the service level, and at the professional level that will teach you a whole lot more, all that you ever would want to know about the new service. But ultimately, you can pick up the phone, give us a call, and send us an email, and we will respond with lots of expertise that roams the halls within MEF.
That's an important point. The MEF is actually a non-profit organization that comprises over 200 of the leading carry Ethernet service providers and equipment vendors and other companies in the world. The expertise is here. It's all done through discussion and development of technical specs. That's actually how e-access was developed, marketed by the MEF, certified by the MEF. So we're very approachable. What you're saying is go check out the website, but ultimately if you want to know more, just get in contact with us, myself, Daniel, with you, John, or anybody else at the MEF will be pleased to.
Be happy to help. Happy to help.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Thank you, John.